Did you know the Korean War never ended? No, seriously. It's not some obscure footnote in a history book or a dusty relic of the Cold War. The Korean War is still happening. It just feels like it might have been forgotten, because it's rarely in the news. But the Korean War isn't over. It's an unresolved conflict that still shapes global politics, military strategy, and the daily lives of millions of people. So let me explain. From 1950 to 1953, the Korean Peninsula was the site of some of the most brutal fighting of the 20th century. It was a conflict that pitted the Soviet-backed North against the US-backed South, with China and the UN also heavily involved. By the end of 1950, North Korean troops had pushed all the way down to the tip of the peninsula, but a counteroffensive led by the US and its allies pushed them back north of the 38th parallel. Negotiations began in 1951, but fighting continued for another 2 years, until a ceasefire was finally established in 1953. But here's the thing, that wasn't the end. No peace treaty was ever signed, and the two sides remain technically at war. And if you want to understand why there's still a US military presence in South Korea more than 7 decades later, well, it starts right here. After the fighting stopped, a demilitarized zone was established between the two Koreas. It's called the DMZ, and it's one of the most heavily guarded borders in the world. If you ever visit, you can actually see the fighting still happening. Well, sort of. There are still tanks and soldiers facing off on either side, and it's strictly off limits. You can't enter without special permission. But life goes on, right? South Korea rebuilt, developed into a major economic power, and even hosted the Olympics twice. North Korea, meanwhile, became a nuclear-armed dictatorship that regularly tests ballistic missiles and makes headlines for all the wrong reasons. Millions of families have been separated for generations. Propaganda is everywhere, and there are frequent border incidents. It's not exactly what you'd expect from a country that has been at war for over 70 years. It's almost as if the Korean War is this huge open wound that's been bandaged but never properly treated. The fighting may have stopped, but the underlying issues that caused the war in the first place, well, they're still there. But doesn't everyone just want peace? Well, yes, but achieving it is complicated. In the post-Cold War era, the threat of nuclear weapons has loomed large over the peninsula. In 2006, North Korea conducted its first nuclear test and has since conducted 5 more, most recently in 2017. This has led to a series of international negotiations and failed peace talks, which only goes to show how difficult it is to end a war when nobody wants to compromise. And yet, every day, thousands of South Koreans wake up and go about their lives, living, working, raising families, all while technically still being at war. For many, it's just background noise, something that's always been there and always will be. But for others, it's a constant reminder of a divided nation and a war that never ended. So why does any of this matter today? Well, because the Korean War isn't just a historical footnote or a relic of the past. It's a conflict that continues to shape our world in big and small ways. The ongoing military presence in the peninsula, including the stationing of US troops in South Korea, is a tangible reminder of the war's legacy. It's a legacy that continues to influence global politics and security. Ultimately, the Korean War is a tragedy on a human scale. It's a story of lives interrupted, families torn apart, and a nation divided. It's a war frozen in time, but still very much alive. Achieving peace will require difficult decisions and compromises from all sides, but as the saying goes, peace is always possible, even when it seems impossible. Maybe, someday soon, the people of Korea will finally be able to lay down their weapons and build a better future together.